Commander Eric Mason stared at the holographic display in front of him. His face showed no emotion, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the table. The images showed the destruction of 3 colony ships, civilian vessels carrying families to humanity's newest settlement. Now they were nothing but floating debris. "How many people were on board?" he asked, his voice steady despite the anger building inside him. Admiral Linda Graves swiped across her tablet. 837. Most were families with children. Mason closed his eyes for a moment. "And the Phyrexians are claiming this was justified." "Yes, their ambassador to the Galactic Council stated that humans are too aggressive to join galactic society." Graves placed her tablet on the table. "They called it a preventative measure." Mason laughed, but there was no humor in it. "They attack our unarmed colony ships and call us aggressive." The meeting room aboard Earth's orbital defense station fell silent. 5 other officers sat around the table, their faces showing a mix of shock and rage. Captain Susan Grant, Mason's second-in-command, was the first to speak up. "What's our response, Admiral?" Graves pressed a button, and the holographic display changed to show a massive fleet of ships hidden in the shadow of Jupiter. Ships that the Galactic Council knew nothing about. "Operation Sleeping Giant is now active," Graves announced. "The President has authorized full deployment." Mason nodded slowly. When humanity first discovered they weren't alone in the galaxy, they had been cautious. Earth's leaders decided to hide their true military capabilities, presenting only civilian technology during first contact. For 50 years, they had been building this fleet in secret, preparing for the possibility that not all aliens would be friendly. "The Phyrexians think we're defenseless," Grant said. "They have no idea what's coming." "Exactly," Graves replied. "Commander Mason, you'll lead the vanguard force aboard the flagship Defiance. Captain Grant will serve as your XO. Your mission is to reach the Galactic Council homeworld, demand justice for our people, and show them exactly what humanity is capable of." Mason studied the fleet schematics. Over 200 warships equipped with technology that humans had reverse-engineered from crashed alien vessels found on Earth decades ago. Technology that humanity had improved upon in ways the original creators never imagined. "What about survivors?" Officer Peter Kelly asked. "Was anyone rescued from the colony ships?" "No survivors from the ships," Graves said grimly. "But we still have one person at the council, Junior Diplomat John Rivera. He was delivering our formal application to join the council when the attack happened. According to our sources, the Phyrexians are holding him for his protection." Mason stood up. "Then retrieving Rivera is our first priority." "Understood," Graves said. "You leave in 6 hours. The rest of the fleet will follow 1 day behind you. This is not just about revenge, Commander. This is about showing the galaxy that humanity cannot be threatened or bullied." Later, as Mason walked through the massive hangar bay where final preparations were underway, he stopped to look at the Defiance. The ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, sleek, powerful, and filled with weapons that could reduce a planet to ash if necessary. Dr. Amy Nelson approached him, carrying a tablet with final system checks. "The dark matter drive is ready," she said. "We'll reach the council homeworld in 3 days instead of the 3 weeks it would take the Phyrexians to get back to their own territory." Mason nodded. "Good, they won't be expecting us so soon." "Are we really going to do this?" Nelson asked quietly. "Start a war with the most powerful empire in the council?" Mason looked at her, his eyes hard. "They started this war, Dr. Nelson. We're just going to end it." Behind them, thousands of crew members prepared for humanity's first interstellar conflict. The sleeping giant was awake, and the galaxy was about to learn just how dangerous humans could be when provoked. Captain Susan Grant walked through the engine room of the Defiance, checking final systems before departure. The massive dark matter drive hummed with energy, filling the chamber with a soft blue glow. She remembered when this technology was just a theory, something scientists dreamed about but couldn't build. Now it would carry them across the stars faster than any Vrexian ship. "All systems are green, Captain," said Officer Peter Kelly. He had been working on this ship for 5 years, ever since Earth's military found a crashed alien scout ship in the Arctic. "This baby is ready to show the Vrexians what humans can do." Grant nodded. "I still remember the day they found that ship. I was just a lieutenant then." Kelly smiled. The day everything changed for Earth. It had been the best-kept secret in human history. In 1978, a small alien craft crashed in the Arctic. Inside were technologies humans couldn't even begin to understand. Faster-than-light drives, energy shields, and weapons that could level mountains. For decades, scientists worked to understand these systems, taking them apart and putting them back together. Then, when the Galactic Council finally made official contact in 2040, Earth was ready. But the world's leaders made a decision. They would hide their military advances. They would present Earth as a peaceful, somewhat primitive world eager to join galactic society. Meanwhile, the real work continued in secret bases throughout the solar system. "Dr. Nelson needs to see you on the bridge," Kelly said, interrupting Grant's thoughts. "Something about the final calibrations for the jump." When Grant arrived on the bridge, Commander Mason was already there with Dr. Amy Nelson. The scientist was showing them something on her tablet. "The dark matter drive is ready," Nelson said. "But I've made some improvements to the design. We can now travel even faster than we thought. We'll reach the Council homeworld in just 2 days." Mason raised an eyebrow. "The Vrexians won't even be halfway home by then. We'll catch them completely by surprise." "Exactly," Nelson said, her eyes bright with excitement. "And I've also boosted our shield capacity by 30%. Based on what we know about Vrexian weapons, they won't be able to touch us." Grant looked out the viewport at Earth. It looked so peaceful from here, blue and green and perfect. It was hard to imagine that this same view had inspired such fear in the Vrexians that they decided to destroy human colony ships. "Do you think we're doing the right thing?" she asked Mason quietly while Nelson worked at a nearby console. "Going in with our full military might?" Mason's face was grim. "They killed 837 innocent people, Susan. Families, children, all because they were afraid of what humans might become." "I know," Grant said, "but this could start a war that will change humanity forever." "We're not looking for a war," Mason replied. "We're looking for justice, and to show the Council that humans aren't to be trifled with." The ship's intercom crackled. "Commander, Admiral Graves is requesting your presence in the communication room. Final briefing before launch." As Mason left, Grant took a moment alone on the bridge. The Defiance was the most powerful warship humans had ever built. Its weapons could reduce planets to rubble. Its shields could withstand attacks that would vaporize normal ships. And its speed would let them strike before the enemy even knew they were coming. She hoped they wouldn't need to use all that power. But deep down, she knew the Vrexians had made a terrible mistake. They had judged humanity by their apparent technology, not by their potential. They had seen a young species and thought them weak. They would soon learn how wrong they were. An hour later, the Defiance and 20 other warships broke orbit from Earth. As they passed the moon, Mason gave the order that would start humanity's first interstellar mission of retribution. Activate dark matter drive. Set course for Nexus Prime, Galactic Council headquarters. In a flash of blue light, the ships vanished into the darkness of space, carrying with them humanity's anger and their warning to the stars. Never underestimate what humans can do when provoked. The great chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Representatives from over 200 species sat in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. The chamber was built from gleaming white stone that seemed to glow from within. Massive view screens lined the walls, showing images of stars and planets from across the galaxy. Vrexian Ambassador Zorklath stood on the central platform. His scaled skin shimmered with blue and green patterns, a sign of pleasure among his kind. 4 arms gestured dramatically as he spoke to the assembled council. "The human problem has been addressed. he announced. Their colony ships were destroyed before they could establish another foothold. We have contained their expansion. In the third tier, Centaur of the Talaxian Federation shifted uncomfortably. The furry, fox-like alien leaned toward his aide. Was there no other way? Centaur whispered. Destroying civilian ships seems extreme, even for the Phyrexians. His aide shrugged. The Phyrexians claim humans are too dangerous to allow into Council space. They say their history is filled with war and violence. And what species doesn't have such a history? Centaur muttered. We all evolved from predators. In a small room off the main chamber, junior diplomat John Rivera sat alone. He had been invited to stay in this room 2 days ago, right after delivering Earth's formal application to join the Council. The Phyrexians called it protection. Rivera called it what it was: imprisonment. He paced the room again, counting his steps. 12 steps long, 8 steps wide. No windows, one door, locked from the outside. A bed, a chair, and a small table with food that he barely touched. The Phyrexians hadn't hurt him, at least not physically, but they also hadn't let him communicate with Earth. Rivera knew something terrible had happened. He had overheard guards talking about colony ships, about how the humans needed to be taught a lesson. But he had no details, no way to warn Earth about what the Phyrexians had done. He sat down and buried his face in his hands. He was supposed to be Earth's voice here, and instead, he was trapped and useless. Suddenly, a strange sound made him look up. It was a siren, distant at first, but growing louder. The lights in his room flickered, then turned red. Emergency lighting. In the main chamber, alarms blared across every console. The massive view screens switched from peaceful star fields to tactical displays. Council security officers rushed to their stations. What is happening? Demanded High Counselor Vreen, an ancient being who had led the Council for over a century. A security officer looked up from his console, his face pale. Multiple ships just appeared at the edge of the system. They came out of nowhere, no warning from our early detection systems. Zorklath pushed his way to the console. Impossible. No ship can avoid detection by our sensor network. These did, the officer replied. His voice shook. And they're moving faster than anything in our records. At their current speed, they'll reach Nexus Prime in under 30 minutes. Identify them, Zorklath ordered. The officer worked his controls. The main view screen zoomed in on the approaching ships. They were sleek, dark vessels with blue energy pulsing along their hulls. Unlike the organic curves of most Council ships, these were angular and predatory. Energy signatures match. Human technology, the officer said in disbelief, but far more advanced than anything in our records. Zorklath's scales faded to a pale white. Impossible. Humans don't have this technology. We're being hailed, another officer announced. The view screen changed to show Commander Eric Mason sitting in the command chair of the Defiance. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with controlled anger. This is Commander Mason of the Earth Defense Fleet, he said. You have attacked our colony ships and are holding our diplomat. We have come for answers. And justice. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Centaur stared at the screen, at the human fleet that had appeared from nowhere, with technology that should be impossible for such a young species. What have the Phyrexians done? He whispered. The Defiance led the human fleet toward Nexus Prime. Through the main viewport, Commander Mason watched as the beautiful blue-green planet grew larger. Hundreds of ships rushed to form a protective line around the planet. Most were Phyrexian vessels, their organic-looking hulls bristling with weapons. Defensive positions are much stronger than our intelligence suggested, Lieutenant Frank Cooper said from his station. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing display as he analyzed the enemy forces. They have at least 300 ships, maybe more. Mason nodded. It doesn't matter. Maintain course. On the bridge of the Defiance, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. This was the moment they had trained for over many years. Humanity's first true test against an alien power. Vrexian flagship is hailing us, Officer Kelly announced. Put them through, Mason ordered. The main screen flickered to show Zorklath. The Vrexian scales now showed patterns of red and black, colors of aggression and dominance in their species. Human vessels, you have entered restricted space, Zorklath said. Turn back immediately or face destruction. Ambassador Zorklath, Mason replied calmly. You attacked our colony ships without warning or provocation. You killed 837 civilians, including children. You are holding our diplomat against his will. We have come for him, and for justice. The Vrexian's 4 arms moved in a gesture of dismissal. Your species is too dangerous to join galactic society. The Council agreed with our assessment. Then we want to hear that from the full Council, Mason said, not just from you. You are in no position to make demands. Zorklath hissed. Your pitiful fleet is outnumbered. Even with your surprising technology, you cannot hope to win. Captain Grant stepped into view beside Mason. Then perhaps a demonstration is in order. She looked at Commander Nickel Wright, who sat at the weapons station. Commander Wright, target the Vrexian flagship's main engines. Precision strike only. Wright's fingers danced across her console. Target locked. Fire, Grant ordered. A beam of intense blue energy shot from the Defiance. It struck the Vrexian flagship with pinpoint accuracy. The much larger alien vessel shuddered as its engine section went dark. Their engines are disabled, Wright reported. No other damage to the vessel. On the screen, Zorklath stumbled as his ship lost power. Lights flickered behind him. That was just one weapon from one ship, Mason told the stunned ambassador. We could have destroyed your entire vessel. We chose not to. Before Zorklath could respond, the rest of the Vrexian fleet opened fire. Hundreds of energy weapons fired at once, creating a storm of destructive force aimed at the human ships. Shields holding at 100%, Cooper reported, sounding almost surprised despite their confidence in the technology. No damage. The Council representatives watched in shock from their chamber as the humans absorbed the Vrexian attack without visible effect. The shields of the human vessels glowed softly but remained intact. High Counselor Vreen turned to Zorklath's second-in-command, who stood frozen in the chamber. You assured us humans were a primitive species, that they had no significant military capability. That's what our intelligence showed, the Vrexian officer replied, his scales now pale with fear. They must have hidden their true technology from us. Senthar, the Talaxian representative, stepped forward. We need to speak with these humans directly, before this gets worse. On the Defiance, Mason watched as the Vrexian fleet prepared for another attack. Should we return fire? Wright asked. Mason shook his head. Not yet. Let them see that their weapons can't hurt us. Let them understand what they're facing. The bridge crew waited tensely as the second wave of Vrexian weapons fire approached. Once again, the advanced shields absorbed the attack without strain. Now, Mason said quietly, target their weapon systems only. Show them what precise destruction looks like. The human fleet fired as one. Across the Vrexian line, weapon systems went dark as surgical strikes disabled them without destroying the ships themselves. Open a channel to the Council chamber, Mason ordered. It's time they understood who they're dealing with. Junior diplomat John Rivera felt the building shake. The door to his room suddenly slid open, and 2 human soldiers in dark armor stepped inside. Mr. Rivera, Commander Mason sent us. We're getting you out of here. Rivera stood up quickly. What's happening? Earth found out about the colony ships, one soldier explained as they moved into the hallway. We're here to get justice. They hurried through the Council building. Through the windows, Rivera could see human ships hovering above the city. Their dark hulls reflected the sunlight, making them shine like stars against the blue sky. How did we get here so fast? Rivera asked. And where did these ships come from? The soldiers exchanged looks. There's a lot you don't know, sir. Commander Mason will explain everything. A small shuttle waited for them on a landing pad. 20 minutes later, Rivera stepped onto the bridge of the Defiance. Commander Mason and Admiral Graves were waiting for him. "Mr. Rivera," Admiral Graves said, shaking his hand. "Glad to see you're safe." "Admiral, what is going on?" Rivera asked. "The last thing I knew, I was delivering our application to join the Council. Then the Phyrexians locked me up. And now, this." He gestured at the massive ship around them. "The Phyrexians attacked and destroyed 3 of our colony ships," Mason explained. 837 people dead. They claimed humanity was too dangerous to join galactic society. Rivera paled. "That's monstrous." "Yes," Graves agreed. "And now they're learning how dangerous we really can be." On the main screen, Rivera could see the disabled Phyrexian ships floating powerless in space. The Council planet gleamed below them, surrounded by the human fleet. "We've received requests from several Council species to come aboard and talk," Captain Grant reported. "The Talaxians, the Nuvari, and 3 others. They want to negotiate." "Let them come," Mason ordered. "Mr. Rivera, we'll need your diplomatic skills now." An hour later, Rivera sat with Mason and Graves in the Defiance's conference room. 5 alien representatives sat across from them, looking nervous. Senthar, the Talaxian, spoke first. "We had no idea the Phyrexians planned to attack your colony ships. Many on the Council opposed their actions, but they moved too quickly for us to stop them. And yet no one warned us," Graves said coldly. "The Phyrexians control most of the Council's communications," another alien explained. This one looked like a tall, thin human with pale blue skin. A Nuvari. They've positioned themselves as the protectors of the Council for centuries. Many species fear them. With good reason, Senthar added. "What you don't know is that you're not the first species they've done this to. Any race they consider a potential threat, they find a way to eliminate or control." Meanwhile, Captain Grant led a team to the damaged Phyrexian flagship. With their systems disabled, the Phyrexians couldn't stop the humans from boarding. Officer Kelly hacked into their computer systems while Grant secured the bridge. "Captain, you need to see this," Kelly called out. His face looked grim as he stared at a Phyrexian computer terminal. Grant joined him and looked at the screen. What she saw made her blood run cold. Files and images showed Phyrexian ships secretly entering Earth's solar system over the past 50 years. They had been mining resources from the outer planets and moons without humanity's knowledge. "They've been stealing from us for decades," Kelly said. "And look at this. Plans for a containment strategy for Earth. They were planning to place weapons platforms throughout our solar system to keep us trapped on Earth." Grant took pictures of everything with her wrist device. "Commander Mason needs to see this right away." Back on the Defiance, Mason presented the Council representatives with evidence of the Phyrexian attacks. "Your Council faces a choice," he said firmly. "Remove the Phyrexians from their position of power or face humanity's full military response." Senthar's ears flattened against his head. "You don't understand the Phyrexians, Commander. They won't give up power willingly. And they have resources and weapons you haven't seen yet." "So do we," Mason replied. "The question is whether the rest of the Council wants to stand with them, or with us." Deep in the Phyrexian flagship, Zorklath entered a hidden chamber. The room was small and dark, with only a single red light glowing from a console in the center. His scales shifted to deep purple, a color of desperation among his kind. "They leave me no choice," he hissed to himself. He placed all 4 hands on different parts of the console and began a complex sequence of movements. On the Defiance, Dr. Amy Nelson suddenly looked up from her instruments. "Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy readings coming from the disabled Phyrexian flagship." Mason turned away from the Council representatives. "What kind of readings?" "I'm not sure," Nelson replied, her fingers moving quickly across her screen. "But they're similar to quantum fluctuations we've seen in experimental weapon systems, and the energy is growing." Before Mason could respond, the main screen flickered to show Zorklath. The Vrexian ambassador looked different now. His eyes glowed with an unnatural red light. "Humans," he said, his voice deeper than before. "You think you have won because of your advanced technology. But the Vrexian Empire has ruled this sector of the galaxy for 10,000 years. We are not defeated so easily." Senthar jumped to his feet. "He's activating the Doomsday Network. Stop him." "Doomsday Network?" Mason demanded. "Weapons placed on hundreds of worlds throughout Council space," Senthar explained quickly. "The Vrexians installed them centuries ago as a last resort. If they can't rule, they would rather see everything destroyed." On the screen, Zorklav laughed. "The network is already activating, Talaxian. In 6 hours, every major council world will experience what the humans call an extinction-level event." The screen went dark. "Is that possible?" Mason asked the alien representatives. "Yes," the Nuveri representative said sadly. "The Vrexians handle defense for most council worlds. They could have placed such weapons without anyone knowing." Mason turned to Nelson. "Can you track these energy readings?" "I think so," she replied. "But we'd need to be closer to each planet to detect and disable the devices." Lieutenant Greg Parker stepped forward. "Sir, with your permission, I can lead strike teams to nearby worlds. If Dr. Nelson can locate these devices, we can disable them." Mason nodded. "Do it, Captain Grant. Prepare boarding teams for the Vrexian flagship. We need to find Zorklav and stop him from activating more of these weapons." As the meeting broke up, Rivera pulled Mason aside. "This is our chance to show the Council who we really are, Commander. Not just conquerors with powerful ships, but allies who will help in a crisis." "That was always the plan, Mr. Rivera," Mason replied. "We came for justice, not destruction." Within an hour, human shuttles were heading to 5 nearby Council worlds. Each carried a team of soldiers and engineers, guided by Dr. Nelson's energy detection systems. The Defiance remained near Nexus Prime, coordinating the response. On the bridge, Mason received constant updates as Lieutenant Parker's teams raced against time. "First device located on Talaxia," Parker reported. "It's bigger than we expected. Some kind of quantum distortion generator. We're working on shutting it down now." Mason turned to Senthar. "Your people should evacuate the area, just in case." The Talaxian nodded gratefully. "Already begun, Commander." "Thank you." Meanwhile, Captain Grant led a team through the dark corridors of the Vrexian flagship. Officer Kelly used portable scanners to guide them toward the source of the energy readings. "Life signs ahead," Kelly whispered. 20, maybe more. And something else. A massive energy buildup. Grant signaled her team to take defensive positions. "We need to capture Zorklav alive if possible. He might be the only one who knows how to shut down all the devices at once." As they prepared to breach the final door, Grant looked at her team. Human soldiers about to fight an alien threat to save not just Earth, but hundreds of worlds throughout the galaxy. This wasn't how anyone had imagined humanity's first steps into galactic society. But perhaps it was fitting. Humans had always been fighters, protectors. Now they would show the galaxy exactly what that meant. 3 days after the standoff began, Commander Mason and Junior Diplomat Rivera stood before the full Galactic Council. The Great Chamber was packed with representatives from all member species. Many looked at the humans with a mixture of fear and respect. "We have disabled 67 Doomsday devices on 23 worlds," Mason reported. "Lieutenant Parker's teams are still working on the remaining 12. So far, we have prevented any loss of life." High Counselor Vreen nodded slowly. The ancient alien skin had paled during the crisis, showing his age. "The Council thanks humanity for its assistance. Without your help, billions would have died." Rivera stepped forward. "We came seeking justice for our murdered colonists. Instead, we found a galaxy held hostage by the Vrexian Empire." Behind them, the main screen showed images from across Council space. Human teams working alongside local species to disable the Vrexian weapons. On world after world, the story was the same. hidden devices, buried deep underground or hidden in orbit, designed to cause mass destruction. The evidence is now clear, Rivera continued. The Vrexians have manipulated the Council for centuries. They attacked our colony ships not because humanity was dangerous, but because they feared we would upset the balance of power they had created. Senthar joined them on the speaking platform. The Talaxian Federation formally requests human protection from Vrexian retaliation. We believe other worlds will make similar requests. Before the Council could respond, the chamber doors opened. Admiral Graves entered, followed by 6 more human officers. The Council members whispered among themselves at this new arrival. Admiral Linda Graves of Earth, Mason introduced her, commander of our Second Fleet. Second Fleet, a Council member asked nervously. Graves nodded. The ships you have seen represent only a fraction of humanity's defense forces. Our full fleet remains in Earth's solar system, ready if needed. The whispers grew louder. Many Council members looked shocked at this revelation. Meanwhile, on the Vrexian homeworld of Vrex Prime, Captain Grant and her team had made a disturbing discovery. In a massive underground complex, they found prison camps filled with aliens from various species. These are scientists, political leaders, and military strategists, Officer Kelly explained as they walked through the facility. Anyone the Vrexians saw as a threat to their power. Some have been here for decades. Grant stopped in front of a cell holding emaciated aliens with grayish skin. What species are they from? That's the thing, Kelly said quietly. According to our scans, they're from species that don't exist in the Council records. The Vrexians may have completely erased their civilizations from history. Grant took careful recordings of everything they found, including genetic samples from the prisoners. We need to get this to Commander Mason immediately. This goes beyond attacking our colony ships. This is genocide. Back in the Council chamber, Mason received Grant's transmission. The evidence appeared on the main screen for all Council members to see. Camps filled with prisoners, records of cleansing operations against 12 species deemed competitive threats to Vrexian dominance. The Council chamber fell silent as the images played. Even species that had been Vrexian allies looked shocked. For centuries, we believed the Vrexians were our protectors, High Counselor Vreen said finally. We trusted them with our defense, our communications, our most important systems, all while they prepared to destroy us if we ever opposed them. Rivera looked at the assembled representatives. Earth did not seek this confrontation. We wanted only to join the galactic community in peace. But now that we are here, we offer our help in creating a new council, one based on true cooperation and respect, not fear and control. Mason stepped forward. The Vrexian leadership is now in custody. Their doomsday network is being dismantled. The question before this council is simple. What kind of galaxy do you want to build now that you are truly free to choose? One by one, the council members stood. The vote that followed was unanimous. The Vrexians would be removed from power, and humanity would be offered a leadership position in the new council structure. 6 months later, the Grand Council chamber looked very different. The curved walls now featured symbols from all member species, including the blue and green Earth logo. The central platform had been replaced with a round table where representatives could speak as equals. Ambassador John Rivera sat at this table, no longer a junior diplomat, but Earth's official voice to the stars. He had just finished presenting a trade agreement that would bring human medical technology to 30 council worlds. The vote passes unanimously, announced High Counselor Senthar. The Talaxian had replaced Vreen, who had retired after the crisis. Earth's medical exchange program will begin next month. As the meeting ended, Rivera walked with Senthar through the rebuilt council building. Your people have changed everything, Senthar said. 6 months ago, most species had never heard of humans. Now you're leading peacekeeping operations, technology exchanges, and exploration missions. Rivera smiled. We came looking for justice. We stayed to build something better. In orbit above Nexus Prime, The Defiance remained as the flagship of the new Council Defense Fleet. Commander Mason now led ships from 20 different species that patrolled former Vrexian territory. Status report, Mason requested as he entered the bridge. Captain Grant handed him a tablet. All quiet in the Outer Rim sectors. The former Vrexian colonies have completed their elections. No resistance to the new governments. Mason nodded. And our special project. Dr. Nelson has made progress, Grant replied. 3 more species rescued from those prison camps have been reconnected with survivors of their kind. We've helped them establish new homeworlds in protected systems. Mason looked out at the stars. The Vrexian campaign of genocide had been more extensive than anyone realized. 12 species had been nearly wiped out, their home planets stripped of resources, their histories erased from Council records. Finding and helping the survivors had become a personal mission for many humans. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Frank Cooper led training for the mixed species security forces that now protected Council worlds. On a training field outside the Council city, he watched as human instructors worked alongside aliens from a dozen worlds. Your tactics are effective, said a Nuveri officer as they observed the training. But I'm more impressed by how quickly you've adapted to working with so many different species. Cooper shrugged. Humans have always been good at adapting. And at fighting when necessary. Across the galaxy, Lieutenant Greg Parker led exploration missions aboard the scout ship Horizon. His crew included scientists from Earth and 5 other worlds. Their mission, to find evidence of other species the Vrexians might have targeted and to map unexplored regions beyond Council space. New readings from the 4th planet, reported a young human officer. Signs of ancient structures. Parker studied the data. Another lost civilization, or just ruins from a species that moved on. Either way, said his Talaxian science officer, we'll learn something new. That's why we're out here, isn't it? Back on Nexus Prime, Dr. Amy Nelson had established a technology exchange center where scientists from all Council species could share their discoveries. The center had become a symbol of the new Council philosophy. Knowledge shared made everyone stronger. The dark matter drive modifications are working well, she told a group of alien engineers. With your crystalline power sources, we've improved efficiency by 40%. In the Council chamber, a new inscription had been added above the main entrance. Etched in the languages of all member species, it read, Peace through strength, justice through action. As Rivera finished his day's work and watched the twin suns of Nexus Prime set from his office window, he thought about how quickly everything had changed. Humanity had arrived ready for war, prepared to annihilate those who had attacked them. Instead, they had found a galaxy in need of liberation, of new leadership. Earth ships now sailed between the stars. Earth scientists shared their discoveries with alien colleagues. Earth soldiers stood guard over worlds that had never known true security. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had done something far more powerful. They had saved it.